Hey everyone, this is very shocking. Let's take a look at what Jerome Powell said about the United States today and the economy. This is out of the Hill. Powell, the U.S. is on an unsustainable fiscal path. Now, the news or that announcement by itself is not that shocking. I mean, we all know this. We all know that the U.S. is only operational by going further and further and further into debt, kind of like a Ponzi scheme. In a Ponzi scheme, when new money stops coming in at the bottom, the people at the top stop getting paid out, and that's when the whole thing comes crashing down. Now, of course, we can take on endless debt, so there's the assumption that this can just keep going on forever. But we know that's not true. But now we have Jerome Powell out here saying this. Why would he come out and say this? Central bankers are supposed to make everything seem fine. They're supposed to gloss over any problems. They're supposed to pretend like that what they're doing is actually helping. Federal Reserve Chair Powell said, quote, the U.S. is on an unsustainable fiscal path, unquote. That was in a 60 Minutes interview that was just released yesterday. Quote, the U.S. federal government is on an unsustainable fiscal path. And that just means that the debt is growing faster than the economy. Yes, we all know this. And so it's unsustainable. I don't think that that's at all controversial, unquote. He said that when he was asked about the national debt, if it's a danger to the economy. Well, 34 trillion in debt. We now have interest on the national debt approaching $1 trillion a year here. In the very near future, it's going to hit that. And it's going to be one of our biggest expenses and the biggest expense here in the not too distant future. Now, the people that are saying that this could go on forever, that there's not going to be any reckoning day, that nothing bad's going to happen, what they don't look at is the cost of living. They actually believe that the cost of living is coming down. It may be coming down a little bit, but compared to how much it went up, it's nothing, and it's not coming down in all areas. There's more things still going up than going down. And I say things, I'm talking about things, items, services, goods that you have to buy. Look at your insurance, look at your homeowners association fees, look at your maintenance on your home. Try to get a new roof now for under 15,000, unless you live in a tiny home. It's outrageous wherever you look, and it's not likely to get better anytime soon. Sorry about the blinking light back there. Kind of looks like Kmart, the blue light special. Am I the only one old enough to remember Kmart? Anybody remember Kmart? The blue light special. $10 trillion in U.S. treasuries coming to the market in 2024. The question is, will the buyer and lender of last resort, the ultimate buyer, the ultimate lender, the central bank, will they be the ones coming in? A record 8.9 trillion of government debt will mature over the next year. Folks, think about this. The Fed balance sheet is only 9 trillion. Now we've got these treasuries coming due this year that almost equal the amount of the balance sheet. Now, to be fair, the balance sheet did come down somewhat. Let me try to bring up the amount here just so I'm as accurate as possible. Okay, where are we at? As of January 31st, the most recent date, we have 7.6 trillion. That's down from $9 trillion, folks. We saw the debt, the Fed balance sheet rather, balloon up starting at the financial crisis. We were under $1 trillion. We skyrocketed above 2 trillion, and all we did since then was increase it. It started coming down beginning in 2017, 18, 19. They had to bump it back up in 2020 because of everybody knows what happened in 2020. And they're trying to bring it back down, but something big is going to break. Something massive is going to break and come crashing down, I think, before the balance sheet gets that much lower. Look what happened in 2020. Seems like every time we start tightening and raising rates, something breaks, something bad happens. Could be just a coincidence, or it could be, a lot of other people out there would say this is designed. But back to Powell for just a minute here. Despite the Fed chair's long-term worries about the national debt, he said members of the bank's rate-setting panel believe, quote, the economy is in a good place. The economy is in a good place. Folks, I stopped worrying about the economy. What I'm going to start doing now is just mostly for entertainment value, because worrying about the economy is not going to get you anywhere. I really didn't worry. I do have a lot of concerns for people. I don't like to see the population living on the streets that we see now. I mean, if you live in California, you know what I'm talking about. Walking down the streets in California, the city of El Cajon, I was there the other day. It's completely different than what it was when I moved out here in the year 2000. And a lot of areas are like that. It just got a lot worse. And a big part of it is the cost of living, but there's also just a lot of crazy people, a lot of insane people out there. I was watching some videos the other day about people getting pulled over by the police, and these people are just not smart at all. I mean, so many idiots in the United States. People actually think they're going to fight the cops and win when the cops have tasers, weapons, reinforcements that can come in. People are just not smart. I don't know what's going on. If it's an epidemic of idiocracy, maybe that'll be the next pandemic. Will be the idiocracy pandemic. Well, it's already here. I shouldn't say the next. Let's get into some other news though, because I wanted to touch on this. Snap to lay off 10% of the global workforce. The Snapchat makers' last round of cuts was in 22, where it laid off 20%, but now they're laying off another 10%. The CEO, he had to testify before the Judiciary Committee last week. That's right. A lot of the tech executives, they're getting grilled by Congress, and they're asking them about the types of things that are allowed on the platform, why they're policing some things and not other things. It's very interesting when you look at it. These social media companies, sometimes they're taking people's accounts down because of improper language, but yet you look at not just improper language, improper subject matter, but you look at some of the other things that they're allowing on their platforms, and it completely goes against what they say they're trying to do. They're trying to keep the platforms clean and safe, but yet they allow some really crazy stuff that I can't even say, on this broadcast, because then they could take mine down for what the AI or the algorithm might detect as being about the subject that you're really not supposed to talk about. But some of the social media platforms are allowing some crazy stuff to go on. Bottom line, and it's not fair, but they're saying, hey, they can't police everything. It's kind of like when all the cars are going 90 and you're going 90 with all the other cars, but out of all the cars going 90 all around you, you're the one that gets pulled over. What are you going to do? You're going to say, I was speeding, yes, but so was everybody else, so you shouldn't give me a ticket. Well, the cop's going to say, well, I can't pull over everybody. I pulled you over. You were going 90. You're getting the ticket. Then you can argue. You could say, no, everybody else was going 90. I don't deserve a ticket. Well, you were still breaking the law. Just because everybody else is doing it doesn't mean you weren't breaking the law. Anyway, that's my analogy for that one here. Jamie Dimon's out there with some more crazy talk. Dimon warns of market rebellion against 34 trillion in national debt. The Fed's Jerome Powell said it's past time for an adult conversation about the unsustainable fiscal policy. Of course, these people have to, at some point, come out and say the truth. That way they can say, look, we warned you, we knew this was coming, and then they can point to this quote. But 99% of the time, they're acting like nothing's wrong. Jamie Dimons came out and made some dire predictions in the past. But the fiscal hurricane or something like that, he said, I had to pull up the quote, over a year ago. But then they just keep propping up the markets. They keep kicking the can down the road. And, we don't really see the correction or the crash that a lot of these people are predicting, the tsunami. Market rebellion. What does he mean by market rebellion? You're going to have a bunch of people rebelling in the street over the national debt? Of course not. The unfunded liabilities are $200 trillion. Nobody's rebelling against that. As long as people can swipe their credit cards and eat a nice, juicy steak for dinner and go through the drive-thru and get Big Macs and Whoppers, people will be fine. It's when the credit cards stop or the credit limits stop increasing, that's when you know what hits the fan. Fed Powell joins a number of critics of fiscal policy and the surging national debt. Jamie Dimon warned last month U.S. economy is headed for a cliff. That's the other warning, a cliff. So if something isn't done to address the federal government's excessive debt burden, we see the cliff. It's about 10 years out. We're going 60 miles an hour towards the cliff. Okay, I thought we were going 70, but okay, 60 miles an hour. All right, folks, what do you think about these warnings? What do you think about Powell coming out there and saying that this is unsustainable? What does unsustainable mean? Does that mean there's going to be a collapse in 2024? Should we all be holding cash on the side, getting ready for the collapse? Home prices 90% off, car prices 90% off, big sales coming down the road. Sale, 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 sale. Or is it going to be more propping up so prices don't crash? They're going to prevent evictions, prevent foreclosures, prevent cars from getting repossessed, therefore keeping the prices propped up. I think it's option B there. I think they're going to keep the prices propped up. So if they're always going to do that, if they're always going to come in and kick the can down the road more, what are all these warnings about rebellion and a cliff and unsustainable? To me, it's just nonsense. But either way, prepare, prepare, prepare. Hope you guys like this report. What do you think about Powell's comments? Please let me know down in the comments. Until next time, keep stacking. We'll talk to everybody very soon. Bye now. Peace.